So Angostura bitters are usually going to be administered into your drink in a dash or a drop because they are, after all, like super powered flavor concentrates, right? So a very little bit goes a long way. It's kind of the Marquess of Queensberry rules of drink making, you know? It's right and proper. It's the gentleman's approach. But I am no gentleman. These are drinks that are going to call for the bitters in measures and ounces. Forget dashes. It's out! Let's do it. All right, so today I am partnered with the House of Angostura to bring you 3 drinks that call for a heavy pour, you know, not just a dash, of Angostura Bitters. And I gotta thank Angostura for making this one possible by sponsoring, so thank you, Angostura. Angostura Bitters are a cocktail essential that have been produced for 195 years in Trinidad and Tobago, but you're lucky, you get to pick them up at your local grocery store, or check the link below for more information. You can buy it online, all kinds of stuff right there, okay? There's a bar in Wisconsin out on Washington Island called Nelson's Hall and Bitters Pub. They have this long-standing tradition called the Bitters Club. To join, they pour you a shot of Angostura bitters and you drink it, and they give you this little membership card. This all gets started back in Prohibition, because when the 18th Amendment went into effect, Tom Nelson, that is the owner and the Nelson whose club it is, he got himself, he's a smart fella, he got himself a license to legally make his pub into a pharmacy, and as a pharmacy, he could legally sell you a dose of stomach tonic for medicinal purposes. And Angostura Bitters was, of course, that tonic. Come repeal day, the pub returns to business as usual, but the Bitters Club thing kind of hangs on as a tradition. By the way, there's no direct connection here between Nelson's Bitters Club and today's Big Bitters drinks. It's kind of a fun story and tradition involving big pours of bitters. So I want to lead off with what I think might be, the most well-known of the Big Bitters drinks. It's called the Trinidad Sour. I actually first had this one a few years ago at Bar Convent Brooklyn, Angostura Bitters booth, and I fell instantly in love. This drink was created by Giuseppe Gonzalez, a bartender whose name has been showing up on this show quite a bit lately, because he's created some pretty damn fantastic drinks. So thank you, Giuseppe Gonzalez. It's a shake and drink, so grab your shaker. Let's get to making it. I look like a cool guy when I do that, right? So I need to get 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice in here. And look at this, a lemon, right where I expected to find it. Beautiful, yes, a lemon. Sometimes when they're shaped like this, for my juicer, I'll take the nub off because it just makes my life easier, but basically, we're good to go. Okay, 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice into my shaker. Yeah, 3/4 of an ounce right out of 1/2 of that lemon, perfect. In she goes. I saved my other half of lemon because you never know, might need that. I'm gonna need 1 ounce of orgeat. And everybody, you know, people give me a lot of shit for how I pronounce it. Is it orgeat? Orgeat? Orgeat?
Orgeat, French orgeat.
I have had different people from different places in France tell me different answers. I think it's extremely regional. You'll notice I'm not using my own homemade. I am using Small Hand Foods orgeat today. I think this is the best commercially available orgeat on the market. I really like this stuff. In fact, when I was developing my orgeat recipe, I tasted against this as an example. That's what I was going for. Mine does tend to have a little bit more fat content in it, but hers is definitely a full fat orgeat, as you can tell by its non-clarified look. It has like lots of stuff in there. Some other stuff, it's fine to get it the other way. It's just a little bit different. I want all the parts. I want all the stuff in there. I don't know. An ounce of that. That's gonna be that's our sweetener for this drink. I need 1/2 ounce of rye. Pretty sure Giuseppe prefers Rittenhouse here, but at the very least, look for something that's, use Rittenhouse. 1/2 ounce. I need 1 ounce of Angostura Bitters. Angostura Bitters usually comes in this bottle. This is the big boy. These are 16 ounces, and if you're doing these kinds of drinks, they're just handy to have. The other thing you're gonna wanna do is, you still have a dasher top, but for big pours, you can just pop that off and either use your thumbnail or a knife or whatever you got handy. 1 ounce. In it goes. Black blood of the earth. All right, and the last bit is an egg white. All right, success. 1 egg white in there. We're gonna dry shake this because there's an egg white in it. When you dry shake, make sure to really seat these well and hold them tight, because dry shaking is a really good time it's when your shaker most wants to blow apart, I find. And even there's a little bit of a leak, but that's okay. It wasn't enough to be an issue. Okay, God, I love that smell. When I dry shake, I like to put the drink back into the short tin because personally, I like to seat the short tin on top of the big tin. If I do it the other way, the ice drops in, things splash. We have a little problem that way. Cracking a cube. Take your coupe. I think a coupe's the appropriate drink glass for this. Yeah, I'm gonna double strain this. Don't really need to, but I'm going to because I can get a faster pour by kind of restraining a little bit with my Hawthorne. There we have it, Giuseppe Gonzalez's Trinidad Sour. I don't think I've ever had this drink garnished, honestly. I don't know that it really calls for one. Maybe a lime wheel would be okay. It's a statement all its own, you know? It's a big glass of frothy bitters. It doesn't really need much. Certainly doesn't need any stripes of bitters. Let's have a taste and see if I did it justice. I hope so. Oh man, I'm so excited about this drink. Oh, that is a delight. Yes. One of the things, oh man, I'm going in again, I'm sorry. Ooh, I love that drink. And it has such a long evolution too. One of the things that is really a joy about this drink is the texture. The whole thing has this really silky, creamy texture, which is sort of weird and incongruous with this really bitter flavor. I mean, just like biting, grab the sides of your mouth and wrestle it, earthy bitterness. But boy, is that sort of like a sweet and sour kind of combo. Like they just kind of like, oh, they contrast so nicely in really unexpected ways because you're contrasting texture with flavor. And the other thing that this does, and I think this is sort of true about a lot of these large pour drinks, right? What you're doing is we're taking the flavor profile of Angostura by and large, I mean there's other things in there too of course, and we're lengthening that and we're gonna let that evolve so it can really unfold. And so that's what these cocktails are so cool for doing. Other than that, it's a wonderfully refreshing drink. I mean honestly, on a hot day, I think I like this more than like I rank this over a gin and tonic. It's such a good drink. That is divine. It has such this gentian maybe? Bitterness. I don't really know what the secret ingredient in Angostura is. It's like this earthiness that turns a little bit acidic, but not really. I mean, yeah, there's lemon in there, but it's not that that's coming through. It doesn't taste like citrus. It's acidic in like this this kind of like there's two kinds of bitterness. There's an earth bitter and then like a sour bitter or sharper bitter. I don't know how to describe that. I don't have the words that kind of go boom boom right away. And then it turns into like it hangs there for a second, and then you get cinnamon, clove for sure, just like spices, like baking spices, Christmas spices, and then sweetness that kind of comes in a little bit, moderates it, helps. That's what helps evolve it. That's what helps it lengthen the flavor profile, that orgeat. Certainly it doesn't taste like almonds. They're drowned out here. The individual parts aren't necessarily what this is about, right? They are there contributing to the overall experience and flavor of the drink. It's a very good drink. It is a real joy of a cocktail. And it's a lot of fun to make for people if they've never had anything like that before, because what a novelty. I mean, I hate to say it's a novelty, right? But it is a novel thing if you're kind of, if you're making this drink for friends. At some point we will have friends again. You know, because unless you're on the inside track with this whole thing, the idea of pouring an ounce of Angostura Bitters or something like that probably is not in your friends' repertoires, right? And to do it and have it come out really good, probably blow people's minds. Ooh, it just gets better and better. It's so balanced. It's an excellent cocktail from Giuseppe Gonzalez. I'm just barely not finishing it. Okay, so I'm gonna move it along to what I think might be the most varied cocktail framework there is. There's more variations on this than there is of any other drink, the last word. But of course there is, since there's a bajillion variations on the last word, there is a bitter version. The very creatively named bitter last word. Typically, a last word is going to be made with gin. This version simply replaces the gin with Angostura Bitters, and it works. I love that. I think that is a testament to how easily modifiable this format is. The power of the sour, if you want. So let's drink it up. Let's drink it up. Let's do that, but first let's shake it up. Let's shake it up, and in my tin, I'm going to need 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. Here we go. Greg, get it together. That's a quarter. Just oh, that's a half. Okay. 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. 3/4 of an ounce of maraschino. 3/4 of an ounce of green chartreuse. There's really no substitution for either of these, the green chartreuse or the maraschino. I know people are gonna ask, and so that's why I'm just letting you know, like, really, it is what it is. There's not like, it's not a neither of these are really families. I don't know. Yeah, they are what they are. 3/4 of an ounce of this, the green chartreuse, produced by Chartreusian monks. The color is named for the spirit. And finally, 3/4 of an ounce of Angostura Bitters. Glug, 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 right? And it goes. Get some ice cubes and shake that up. Crack one. Some of you guys were asking, where's the underlight? You know what it is? I was just too lazy. I didn't turn it on because, whatever. It's back. I rewired it. I made the whole thing new again. Here we go. A bitter last word. There it is, the bitter last word. Let's see how I like it. See how it came out. I don't know if I've ever actually had one of these, to be honest. Ooh, that's fun. Ooh. Whoa. There's a lot of twists and turns in evolution. That is cool. That's a weird note that comes out there at the end. What the heck was that? That's a weird drink. The chartreuse actually takes front and center, which usually comes through as black pepper to me, but here you're getting other parts of it. The Angostura and the chartreuse are really playing off each other. Strong, herbal, bitter notes that give way to maraschino, which actually does hold its own in this drink. I figured that would be an easy to lose flavor, but actually it shows up. You definitely get the taste of maraschino in this drink. You gotta have the acid from the lime, that ties it all together. It's a fun drink, I like that a lot. It is bitter. It's bitter, but honestly, it's not as bitter as like a lot of other things I've had, honestly. It is bitter, but it's also pretty sweet. The maraschino and the chartreuse are both, I think, fairly sweetened. I know maraschino is, I think chartreuse is. At least it comes across as somewhat sweetened. Between the two, personally, I think I like the Trinidad Sour just a bit more. I love the texture of that. That's so much fun with the egg white. It's just one of my favorite drinks, too. Yeah, another excellent Big Bitters pour. That's a good one. I like it. Let's move it along. So for number 3, I was looking for something a bit, well, tiki, frankly. And in researching this and working on my own riffs on it, I did stumble upon a drink from Zach Overman that, frankly, I think just needed to be in this. I think that was it. I found this drink and I said, oh, okay, cool. I don't need to really compete with this. This drink caught on at a spot called Fort Defiance, which is down in Red Hook, Brooklyn. They used to have a weekly tiki night, but currently, because of COVID, Fort Defiance is operating as a general store for foods and things and doing deliveries. One hopes that in the future, their tiki nights will return. We're gonna need a shaker, and into it, we're gonna add 2 ounces, otherwise known as 60 mils of pineapple juice. I happen to have some pineapple juice right here. So we're gonna start with 2 ounces of pineapple juice. 1 ounce of lime juice. 1 ounce of lime juice. Okay. Now I need 1.5 ounces of cream of coconut. This is Coco Lopez that I decanted because it will be solid otherwise. I just put this into the bottle and ran hot water over the outside of the bottle. 1.5 ounces. 1/2 ounce of overproof rum. And now an enormous 1.5 ounces of Angostura Bitters. The whole shaker just turns red inside. It smells really good, actually. I'm gonna shake this up. One big, one crack. Ow! Smacked my hand that time. It's rare. It does happen. Look at that color. That's unreal. Let's just shake this up. And I'm going to pour this into a brandy snifter. Now, I'm going to do kind of a half open, half closed gate. The little broken pieces of ice are fine because we're going to top this with crushed ice, but there's probably 1 or 2 really big pieces that I don't necessarily want in there, so. Whoa, that's a crazy color. I'm going to take some more ice. I'm going to throw that into my Louis bag. My Louis bag. My Louis bag. My Lewis bag. Smack them with my ice mallet. I actually like to do it this way. It's pretty bad on the bags. It's a good way to wreck your bags, but it's like, I'm not allowed to smash tables. It's too loud. I get yelled at by the wife. I keep thinking I should get like one of those 1960s like ice crushers. I'm allowed to smack the floor though. Pretty close to a snow-like consistency. Let's just top this up with our crushed ice. Looks good. I like the, presents really well. I like the way it looks. So I'm gonna garnish that with a sort of the works as far as tiki goes. I'm gonna use a, you know what, I better not use an umbrella. I may not have. I'll use a pink umbrella and an orange wheel. Now, I think that this would actually benefit from some pineapple fronds. Oversight on my part, I don't have any pineapple fronds, so. This one does not wanna work. It's a tough little umbrella, huh? Uh-oh, I think I broke it. There we go. I have to hide these from my kid. She always wants to steal them. Sure, something like that, whatever. And then a straw. Perfect. That'll work for today. And here we have the Angostura Colada. This is Zach Overman's Angostura Colada. I don't know if I named the drink before we made it. This is Zach Overman's Angostura Colada. Let's have a try. That is awesome. That's so cool. Ooh, that's delicious. It still tastes a lot like a pina colada. You still get that pineapple and coconut, and it leads with that, but it has this undercurrent of bitterness that is not overpowering, that is really enjoyable. It's really nice. It's kind of like, it's a bit more of a sophisticated pina colada. I like it a lot. It has a nice tail. Oh, that's really good. It turns into like kind of sweet cinnamon, allspice, baking spice, you know, and delicious cocktail. It doesn't have a tremendously long or complicated flavor profile, but I mean, honestly, it does linger. You get this like nice little lime, and I don't know, the flavor, it just stays with you. It does actually. It lingers and hangs out with you for a while. I mean, I'm still tasting it now. It's very good. It's a really good drink. I like that a lot. And I don't love, you know, like a bitter Mai Tai. That's not like my thing. I like this one though. This is really good. So it has a great texture too. It's one of the things that I love about coconut cream. This one's kind of dangerous. It's an easy one to finish. If you have a recipe or a favorite drink that calls for an oversized pour of Angostura Bitters, actually I'd love to hear about that. So why don't you drop me a comment below or hit me up on Instagram or Twitter at How to Drink. And I gotta thank Angostura Bitters again for sponsoring this episode. Since you're watching this, I bet you already got a bottle, but if you don't, they're available in your local grocery store or via the link below. I'm hoping you like the show. This is near the end of the episode and you're still watching, so I'm guessing you do, unless you really hate it, but let's assume you like it. Please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, the like button, leave a comment, you know, the works. Really tube it up in here. Since we've established that you love this show, you might want even more of it. Well, I've got a Patreon at patreon.com/howtodrink where you'll find deleted scenes and little extras that didn't make the public cut. And I'm on Twitch, probably more than I should be, doing live stuff from the bar, behind the scenes editing stuff, talking about whatevers, and hosting tabletop role-playing games like Cyberpunk Red over at twitch.tv/Greg from HTD. I hope to see you there. And now is the part of every episode when I suggest 4 other episodes to you. Look at them. All 4 of them. Just eagerly awaiting your delicious little click. Feed them your click. They need it. Give it to them. Come on. You know you want to. Just click already.